Now, it's always good to hear from old friends, and today we've got an update to a classic Internet Today character from years past. The one, the only, Versace Bedouin, the crocodile of Wall Street, Heather Morgan, aka Razzlekhan. Yeah, Razzlekhan is back in the news because she has just been sentenced to 18 months in prison for helping to commit one of the biggest monetary heists in human history.
Only 18 months? Does this include her crimes against music?
No, that'll be, that sentencing is coming later, and she looks, it's straight to the gulag. So, yes, you heard that right. This was one of the biggest heists in history, stealing what amounted to billions of dollars.
Okay. We know she talks like that, but
billions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency alongside her husband, Ilya Dutch Lichtenstein.
A modern day Bonnie and Clyde.
That's right. It's not exactly the action movie style heist that you're probably thinking of, especially when the people involved are named Razzlekhan and Dutch or Bitcoin Bonnie and Clyde. But it was just as entertaining for different reasons. I mean, there were no busting into bank vaults, no rappelling down from the ceilings, no weapons heavy standoffs, or hair-raising getaways. Just a bit of crypto money laundering and a lot of cringe-inducing amateur hip-hop videos.
And a shoebox clearly labeled burner phones.
Evidence. Don't touch. Evidence.
Passports to use if we need to leave the country on short notice.
Yeah.
Though crypto being involved is the real reason behind the dumbest yet somehow largest heist in history, because back in 2016, someone hacked the Bitfinex crypto exchange and stole over 100,000 Bitcoin, which at the time was worth around $72 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A massive amount of money, honestly. But that's the thing about Bitcoin. The value of the token fluctuates wildly. And in the years between when the hack took place and when the government found enough evidence to charge the couple, the value of the Bitcoin had ballooned to over $3.5 billion, all allegedly stolen by this power couple.
Yeah. They stole billions. What are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm. Not that it matters in relation to this case, but the value would now be somewhere along the lines of 10 or 11 billion. Hell, by the time this video goes up, they could have stolen $15 billion.
Yeah, the crime keeps getting worse.
Your Honor, you'll notice that the crime that we are being charged with, inaccurate. I moved to throw this case from the books.
I agree. We're going to put them in prison for more time because the value has gone up.
No, not like that.
So yes, this absolutely massive fraud was perpetrated by arguably the goofiest duo on the planet, with one being kind of a typical dorky crypto hype dude whose partner was an outgoing, eccentric, aspiring creative who documented a lot of their lives for social media, including her hip-hop alter ego that she had made for herself called Razzlekhan, where she would fight back against the man alongside the underdogs in this new burgeoning digital financial market. So
she was kind of doing the thing where I want to be famous, so I'm just going to try all avenues available to me. I'm going to do sketches. I'm going to make TikTok content.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a music career.
She was like the female criminal version of AJ from the Big Justice Costco family, who tried everything to get famous over the years, and finally one thing hit.
Yeah.
And that was the double chunk chocolate cookie and the chicken.
I was going to say the Rizzler.
Well, he's not even part of the family, actually.
I know. They need to do something about that.
But yes, Razzlekhan, Heather Morgan, she was doing sketch comedy. She was doing music videos. She was trying everything to become a content creator and had the financial capital to back it all up. Mm-hmm. Sadly, she became most famous for being responsible for the biggest heist in history.
And the worst rapper of all time.
Well, yeah, that too. She also had a somewhat lengthy history as a contributing writer to outlets like Forbes and Inc., which lent her at least a shred of credibility within the spaces that she operated.
I can't remember which of those two it was, but there was one of those outlets she wrote hundreds of articles for.
Yeah, she was a real powerhouse. She was going to make it as a journalist, as an entertainer, as a comedian, or as a musician, whatever the cost. So while the feds monitored the hacked funds, Dutch and Razzlekhan lived, for a while, they lived relatively normal millennial lives, making content, posting online, buying things like gift cards and PlayStations with the money that they were laundering out of the stolen Bitcoin.
And somehow making rent on their New York apartment. That was the biggest red flag.
These two are really stupid. How do they afford such a nice place?
Yeah. Things eventually got more intense with the money laundering operation in full swing while the feds secretly watched as the transactions flew between the wallets. Dutch and Razzlekhan would eventually start some fake investment companies, travel around the world, and host a lavish wedding ceremony for themselves before attempting to allegedly start setting up their new lives overseas in Ukraine.
Yeah.
The timing on this was very, because like
They would have got there right on time.
if this had worked out, they would have been in Ukraine like a total of like a couple months before shit absolutely hit the fan.
Now the husband, Dutch, probably going to jail for a long time, but didn't get recruited to fight against Russia in the war.
I'd say he got lucky.
I guess so.
Unfortunately for them, or fortunately for them, the feds caught up to them before they were able to make their big escape to the land of opportunity, Ukraine.
Where nothing bad will ever happen.
And the feds found Dutch and Razzlekhan at home in their New York apartment alongside evidence that's so comically obvious that it would seem like awful writing if it were in a TV series or movie. Here's some info about what investigators found from a Vanity Fair profile on the duo a few years back.
In all that day, agents retrieved $40,000 in cash tied together with pink rubber bands, an assortment of foreign currencies in clear plastic bags, and another bag with the word burner phone written in black Sharpie. There were about 50 computer tablets, phones, and other electronics in the apartment. The feds also found a copy of the novel The Water Goats and another book on Japanese maps, which had both been hollowed out to hide money or electronics. The evidence taken from the raid allowed the feds to definitively tie the online wallet associated with the Bitfinex hack to Liechtenstein and Morgan, and a month later, they were arrested. The duo was charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering and conspiracy to defraud the United States. And just so we don't leave this part out, because it's still very surreal that these two were behind what appears to have been the biggest heist ever, here you go.
In its press release announcing the arrest, the government noted that this was the largest financial seizure in U.S. history. While the government had managed to seize 94,000 Bitcoin, worth around $3.6 billion at the time, 25,000 of the original coins were missing and had been, according to the feds, transferred out of Liechtenstein's wallet via a complicated money laundering process that ended with some of the stolen funds being deposited into financial accounts controlled by Liechtenstein and Morgan. And while it would have been funny if the length of their prison sentences were lengthened or reduced depending on the current value of what they were accused of stealing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that just went from a misdemeanor to a felony.
Yeah, the courts unfortunately don't work like that. They decided to just do the old-fashioned thing and sentence them for a normal amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, significantly less time than you might imagine for stealing and or laundering what amounts to billions of dollars. Got off relatively easy.
Yeah, so this is all moot because regardless, it was hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion, around the time that shortly after this was taken over by them, or at least found out by the feds. But it is kind of funny thinking about like a petty criminal who stole something that was maybe worth like $500, and then the value goes up.
Yeah.
It doubles in no time, and they're like, well, technically you've now committed a felony because of the value of that.
No, but it wasn't a felony when I did it.
Yeah, well, here's Bloomberg with more. The woman who dubbed herself the Crocodile of Wall Street and Razzlekhan in rap videos was ordered to serve 18 months behind bars for helping her hacker husband launder cryptocurrency that he stole from the Bitfinex exchange. Heather Morgan, 34, was sentenced Monday in Washington federal court. Last week, her husband, Ilya Liechtenstein, got 5 years in prison for his role in the scheme, which stemmed from his 2016 hack of the exchange and the theft of Bitcoin, currently worth billions of dollars. Both pleaded guilty last year. Morgan wasn't involved in the hack, and her husband said he recruited her to help hide the loot he'd stolen. They could have faced more prison time, but he agreed to aid the U.S. in other crypto prosecutions, and she persuaded him to cooperate with the authorities. They are still in love. And he, she was probably had something to do with the hack, and he is falling on the knife in order to protect his queen.
Yeah, you can tell just looking at her and listening to her that she's the real brains behind this operation.
That's true. It is funny that, like, out of everything in this story, the one thing that seems to be the most true is that they really did find the perfect partner with each other.
Yeah.
Even in, like, people who were at their wedding were like, these two freaks found each other.
Yeah.
Hey, anything's possible.
It's real ride or dies.
Yeah.
Reporting over on CoinDesk has a quote from Razzlekhan during sentencing where she teared up while saying, I'm not going to do it.
Okay. All right, sure.
I am extremely sorry and deeply regret the choices I made. I used my time and energy to do harm instead of good. and I am ashamed of that.
Good job, Elliot.
But she made a different statement to the public on her personal Twitter account where she claims that her side of the story will soon be told, alongside some other creative endeavors.
We got a lot to look forward to, folks.
I'm sorry I've been gone for a little while. The last 3 years I was battling a Fed case, and I like to listen to my lawyers. Well, guess what? It's over, and I'm very excited that I will soon be telling my story, sharing my thoughts, and telling you more about the creative and other endeavors I've been working on. Razzle dazzle.
Well, at the very least, the threat of prison doesn't seem to have shaken her indomitable spirit.
Yeah.
And we're sure that her comeback album will rival the best in the business because weirdo nerd rappers, she's got something they don't have.
Yeah.
A rap sheet.
That's true. She's
come
got
out
more
of the
cred
joint.
than most.
Yeah, she's gonna get to meet a lot of real serious criminals behind bars.
Yeah.
And that will help her write bars.
Yes, that's right. Anyways, moving on from people going to prison to people who probably should be going to prison, but are instead being appointed to the position of Attorney General. Matt Gaetz simply cannot stay out of the news cycle, and honestly, right now, that's probably for the best.
Yeah, we should not let this go.
No, his appointment as America's top cop has caused shock and alarm on both sides of the aisle, with some Republicans claiming that there is actually zero chance Gaetz gets confirmed to the position, and a decent amount of folks who consider this whole nomination process to just be a giant smokescreen for Gaetz to avoid having his life and his reputation ruined by what could have been in that House ethics report. The nomination, it gave him the perfect excuse to resign from his position as a member of the House, thus making the House ethics report totally useless. House Speaker Mike Johnson said as much a few days ago when he strongly suggested that the committee not release the report, calling it a, quote, terrible breach of protocol, tradition, and the spirit of the rule because former members are beyond the jurisdiction of the ethics committee.
This is funny because, whether or not you release this report, this is the central question and controversy around this appointment. And if the report that you've been working on for several years at this point exonerated Matt Gaetz,
You should release that.
they would have released that.
Yeah.
The fact that they're not doing that is
And
telling.
not just not releasing it, but sending out people to very sternly say or suggest that they shouldn't release it if given the option
Yeah.
should be very telling.
Someone needs to leak this fucking thing.
That might happen, as we'll get to.
So, yeah, there's no report.
But I guess nothing happened.
Yeah, solves that. Don't worry about it. Except no, all of this added attention and the fact that this nomination has been widely denounced by members of both parties has brought increased scrutiny to the accusations against Gaetz. And now, a lawyer has gone on record speaking with ABC News and claiming that his clients testified that they were paid to have sex with Matt Gaetz alongside other extremely serious accusations.
Yeah.
Here's the reporting. An attorney representing two women who testified before the House Ethics Committee told ABC News in an interview that former Representative Matt Gaetz paid both his adult clients for sex. Florida attorney Joel Leopard told ABC News' Juju Chang that one of his clients also witnessed Gaetz having sex with a third woman, who was then 17 years old, at a house party in Florida. She testified that in July of 2017, at this house party, she was walking out to the pool area and she looked to her right and she saw Representative Gaetz having sex with her friend, who was 17, Leopard said.
Leopard, who has called for the House Ethics Committee to release its report amid Gaetz' nomination to serve as President-elect Donald Trump's Attorney General, told ABC News that the former congressman paid both of his clients for sex using Venmo. Just to be clear, both of your clients testified that they were paid by Representative Gaetz to have sex? Chang asked Leopard. That's correct. The House was very clear about that and went through each. They essentially put the Venmo payments on the screen and asked about them. And my clients repeatedly testified, what was this payment for? That was for sex, Leopard said. Leopard also told ABC News that his client testified to House Ethics Committee that, based on her knowledge, Gaetz stopped having sex with the minor after he learned she was underage. Her understanding was that Matt Gaetz did not know that she was a minor, and that when he learned that she was a minor, he broke things off and did not continue a sexual relationship until she turned 18, Leopard said.
Oh, so it turns out Matt Gaetz is a pretty good guy.
yeah. That's the turning point
Yeah.
there.
I think this does exonerate him because it shows he's got great judgment.
And then he waited until the timing was appropriate to once again engage.
Midnight on the dot, blowing up her phone.
Jesus, just awful. Just a shitty human. But also kind of satisfying that in this one case, it turns out leopards might actually eat his face.
Good one.
Thank you.
They also add that the House Ethics Committee is expected to meet on Wednesday and discuss its report on Gaetz and potentially vote on its release, despite the fact that the investigation ended when Gaetz resigned from the House, multiple sources told ABC News. But even if they decide not to release the report, it might make its way out into the world anyway, because on Tuesday morning of this week, a hacker claimed to have accessed a file containing testimony from one of the victims. That hacker's name, Dutch Lichtenstein.
Finally, something to get the heat off of me and Razzlekhan.
I need to use my talents for good. With more on that aspect of all this, here's the New York Times. An unidentified hacker has gained access to a computer file shared in a secure link among lawyers whose clients have given damaging testimony related to Matt Gaetz. The file of 24 exhibits is said to include sworn testimony by a woman who said that she had sex with Mr. Gaetz in 2017 when she was 17, as well as corroborating testimony by a second woman who said that she witnessed the encounter. The information was downloaded by a person using the name Altom Beasley at 1:23 p.m. on Monday, according to the person, who was not authorized to speak publicly. A lawyer connected to the case sent an email to the address associated with Altom Beasley, only to be informed in an automated reply that the recipient does not exist. They say the material hasn't been released publicly by the hacker, and they indicate that the hack relates to the civil defamation suit filed by Christopher Dorworth, a friend to Gaetz and Joel Greenberg. Greenberg being the one who was found guilty of wire fraud and sex trafficking.
So Dorworth sued Greenberg and the women involved in the case for, ruining his reputation.
His stellar reputation.
When news broke that the encounter had taken place at his home back in 2017. So a ton of files, evidence, and testimony were used in that case. And according to the reporting, this is where the trove of data was stolen. So in pointlessly trying to save his own ass, this Dorworth guy might end up being responsible for taking down Gaetz. Their reporting continues. The 24 exhibits were attached to a motion prepared by lawyers for Mr. Greenberg and the women in response to Mr. Dorworth's suit. The hacked information also includes sworn testimony from Mr. Dorworth and his wife, as well as testimony from Michael Fisher, Mr. Gaetz's former campaign treasurer, who is also said to have attended the party. It also contains various supporting material, such as the gate logs showing who entered the property of the Dorworth home on the evening in July 2017, when the two women said the sexual encounter with Mr. Gaetz occurred. The material apparently taken is unredacted and includes the names and other personal information of the witnesses, but is otherwise said to be more damaging to Mr. Gaetz than to his accusers, according to the person familiar with the hack. The hacker had not contacted the lawyers as of Tuesday morning, and it was not clear what motive the person might have.
And yeah, that Dorworth guy, that's the funniest thing. Because he sued Joel Greenberg, who's already...
Hey, you're making me look bad.
Yeah, hey, take my name out of your mouth, because I wasn't there. And his defamation suit was so unsuccessful and just bit him back so hard that the court was like, no, you have to now pay everyone else for their time. Also, we're just going to release this report just so everyone's clear. You were there.
Yeah.
You were not defamed.
And this was the weak point that a hacker was able to exploit and get dirt, apparently, allegedly, on Matt Gaetz. And all this is happening at the most inopportune time. Right, of course, when this good man gets nominated to the top position, Attorney General.
This is sort of like what they did to Jesus.
He is a Christ-like figure in that way. And you're calling ahead, but we have some more Christ-like figures sacrificing themselves later on in the episode.
Baby.
But still, we're on this topic.
But if all this seems crazy, the fact that we are having a conversation about the potential, the pick for Attorney General,
he's not confirmed,
being a sex pest, it could get worse because Marjorie Taylor Greene has now threatened other Republicans who might stand up against Gaetz and Trump. Over on the Hell site, currently known as X, MTG appeared to dangle some blackmail over the heads of other members of the House, saying, "For my Republican colleagues in the House and Senate, if we are going to release ethics reports and rip apart our own that Trump has appointed, then put it all out there for the American people to see. Yes, all the ethics reports and claims, including the one I filed. All your sexual harassment and assault claims that were secretly settled, paying off victims with taxpayer money. The entire Jeffrey Epstein files, tapes, recordings, witness interviews. But not just those. There's more. Epstein wasn't/isn't the only asset. If we're going to dance, let's all dance in the sunlight. I'll make sure we do." Sounds like a lot of your colleagues have done some really fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And you didn't care until it became politically useful for you. What the fuck?
In fact, you sat on this information until it was useful for you. Yeah, so definitely a bizarre thing to say and do when talking about your own party. Like, damn, go ahead and torch it. Be our guest.
No, don't release the blackmail.
But why is it always the Republicans who are committing crimes so diabolical that they can constantly be threatened by members of their own party? This wasn't even her saying, oh, the Democrats are going to really regret releasing all this because now their crimes will come to light too. This is her saying that she knows her fellow Republicans are up to some sick shit and they shouldn't eat one of their own because their dirty laundry will get out there too.
If you think what Matt Gaetz definitely did was bad.
Wait till you see what other people have done. My friends, my fellow Congress people. So yeah, the fact that she's putting this out there publicly definitely means that the threat has been spread and ignored privately. So it's crazy. It's obviously ironic that the Law and Order Party continues to break laws and act disorderly, but that's what happens. We would say it would be fun to watch them all fight each other, but these people are the ones that are in complete control of the country for at least the next 2 years.
They're driving
potentially
the car.
4 years.
They're driving this clown car straight off a cliff.
And they just huffed a big old can of duster. Yeah.
They're walking on sunshine.
They are definitely walking on sunshine.
All right, we got Moon
I'm leaving it in. Keep going.
Wow, that was...
I'm leaving it in. Everyone's loving it right now. They love a good Elliot screw up.
That was a car crash in my mouth.
Yeah, you're the one doing the duster now.
We have more news for you in just a second.
Good.
Including a bunch of people lining up to kiss the ring as part of some sick and twisted humiliation ritual. But first, let's take a second to thank today's sponsor for supporting this show. We're always trying to make sure you're eating well, usually through meals or ingredients, but now it's time to focus on your cookware.
Yeah.
Are you still using that pan that you've had since college? It's time for a serious upgrade for yourself or a loved one this holiday season. And luckily, Hexclad has quality cookware that will last you a lifetime. With Hexclad's non-stick and stainless steel hybrid technology, not only will your meals likely taste better, cleanup will be so much easier. Don't blow it again this year with socks and ugly sweaters. Say, I love you with the gift of Hexclad.
Yeah.
Even though you're really thinking that doing the dishes will be so much easier for the rest of your life. That's right, Hexclad has a lifetime warranty. These are literally the last set of pots and pans you will ever have to buy.
Hexclad's 6-piece set is the perfect starter bundle to enjoy the incredible versatility of their products. The set features 6 of their most popular pots and pans with an accompanying lid that can handle all of your holiday cooking needs. Your kitchen will never be the same. Say goodbye to sticking, burning, and uneven cooking, and hello to perfection with every dish. Whether you're a seasoned chef or just starting to explore your passion for cooking, Hexclad empowers you to unleash your creativity and culinary skills with confidence. These pans are fantastic.
This is some very, very nice cookware.
Yes, this is clearly the nicest pan I've ever owned. So, highly suggest.
Very even.
Mm-hmm.
The hexagonal pattern distributes the heat very, very evenly. And what I like is you'll only have to turn the heat up about halfway that you normally would.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You're going to save so much on gas, probably, potentially.
Or if you're like 90% of the country on electric.
Yeah.
Regardless of what politicians say. Either way.
It's time to upgrade your kitchen and your relationship. For what?
Sure.
For a very limited time, you can shop Hexclad's biggest sale of the year and save up to 42%. Just go to hexclad.com/itdaily. Get the best deals of the year and support our show at hexclad.com/itdaily. Hexclad.
Check them out. And now we can get back into the news, and everything does seem to be
Everything's coming up, Donald.
sadly, that seems to be the case. Everything's coalescing around Donald Trump.
And don't forget Donald Trump's best friend.
His little buddy.
Best buddy.
First buddy.
First buddy.
People are coming around in a way that is very similar to the way they did in his previous term. They are quite literally lining up to kiss.
You remember the original was Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney getting dinner with him, and
looking back,
seemingly like it seems like Trump hired someone with like a Polaroid camera to pop out from behind the plant and just get the picture. And Mitt Romney's like, "Oh no, I've been spotted."
And Mitt Romney appeared to be in pain,
Yeah,
like severe mental anguish as he was being photographed. Like, It did seem, a lot of people joke about the humiliation ritual.
Yeah.
I can't think of another explanation.
No, that's what it was.
This is meant to make you look weak next to the guy who is running the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are lining up to do it again and appear to be willing to show up and humiliate themselves in order to prove their absolute loyalty to Trump.
Kiss the ring.
Yeah.
Eat the nuggets.
And that is so they can stay as close as possible to the levers of power. And no one has exemplified their willingness to get dog-walked like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who was recently nominated to lead the Department of Health and Human Services in the Trump administration. And this would put him in charge of the Food and Drug Administration, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and many other agencies. All agencies that are very important that he should be nowhere near. But he's gonna be. And RFK has already made the biggest mistake that you could possibly make when trying to work with Donald Trump. He called him out on something. He said in a recent podcast interview that Trump was basically ingesting poison because of his love of fast food. And we joked that if RFK Jr. ever tried to lay a single hand on McDonald's, or more specifically Diet Coke, Trump would shoot him into space on one of Elon Musk's rockets.
Shoot him into space on Fifth Avenue.
That's right. And not lose a single voter.
So it hasn't gone to that point yet. But over the weekend, a perfectly timed photo graced news articles and social media feeds, one that seemed too orchestrated to be ignored, especially considering RFK's recent comments about this type of food in particular.
Yeah.
It was a photo of Trump Jr., Elon Musk, Mike Johnson, and RFK Jr. flying over to Little St. James on the Lolita Express eating McDonald's together.
Certainly what it looks like.
Okay, for legal purposes, the name of the plane and the destination, that was a joke.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But there he is, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. posing with his cool new friends, and enough McDonald's fast food to go around twice, 2 or 3 times.
In fact, those are large meals for...
Yeah, that's...
They got multiple main courses on each plate.
Mm-hmm.
And the weirdest thing, people did point this out, the only thing I can imagine is there's something with flight regulations or something, but it was weird that they all got little plastic bottle drinks instead of the delicious... The one thing you go to McDonald's for, which is the fountain soda.
Yeah. Yeah, that was strange.
But it is very funny that in particular, regardless of the method of consumption, they made sure that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had a full sugar Coca-Cola right there in front of him. No half measures.
They also made sure, like, the rest of them were just sitting there with their food out. They're like, no, Robert, hold the burger. Put it in your hand.
Hey, make it seem like you really like it. You're enjoying yourself, aren't you, Robert?
So yeah, he does not look comfortable.
No.
And yes, this feels like it was done on purpose to show RFK Jr. who the boss is. And not to cross him or his favorite food ever again.
If you ever talk shit about this food, you're going to be eating it.
Based on everything we know about RFK Jr., blemishes and rotting animal corpses and everything else, we know that he would never consume McDonald's unless it was under duress.
Mm-hmm.
So this is clearly a photo telling other people in Trump's orbit that they are not safe. They shouldn't cross the Donald, or he will make an example out of them.
If you take...
Eat the McDonald's.
If you take RFK at his word, if you take him at his word, and he crossed Donald Trump, and the punishment for crossing him is literally eating what he thinks is poison, that is pretty severe punishment.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it might look lighthearted based on what this photo is showing, but RFK literally said that is poison that kills people. And Trump's like, eat the slop, Robert.
Maybe there was some compromise. Maybe the reason the Coke is in a bottle is because when you get it at McDonald's, that water is from the municipal water supply, which does have fluoride.
That's right.
Also, did you see...
I would assume that Coke bottles are also using municipal water at some point, though, too. Yes.
Did you see that all the dental stocks are...
Oh, great news.
Going through the roof?
Great news for dentists.
Yeah, all the any company that makes like dental products, they're a big buy. You might have missed it, but depending on how this fluoride thing goes, if we take fluoride out of the water, people are going to need more dentistry.
And all the Brits are going to be smug as hell looking over here and saying, well, now, how do you like it?
And I'm going to say, I don't like it one bit.
And
the schools here, I like Call of Duty.
Dennis, I like Call of Duty. That's going to be us.
Yeah. Damn it.
But it's not just nominated members of his administration that are lining up to kiss the ring or be part of some sick humiliation ritual. It's also members of legacy media who are really outdoing themselves recently.
Oh, God. Time to retire.
Yeah, all these legacy media people, they saw how little influence they had, and they also saw how just trust in their platforms is at an all-time low, especially with liberals. And they decided to double down. They said, nope, this definitely isn't a me problem. No. All those things I said, it's everyone else. It's everyone else's fault. And also, just to be sure, I'm going to get down on my knees and pray to the God Emperor that he shows some mercy on me. They apparently are praying for forgiveness at the altar of Donald Trump. Despicable. And we are, of course, talking about the husband and wife team of MSNBC's Morning Joe. That's Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, who took a little trip down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump personally and, quote, reopen lines of communication.
Yeah, which...
but, that's only after months of justifiably trash-talking him and calling him a fascist, calling him Hitler, and then being like, well, I guess we should just go take this meeting with literally Hitler.
Well, but you got to look at the history of these three. Because
they go back a long time.
Yeah, I mean, back 2016 and earlier, Trump was watching Morning Joe obsessively and would call in on a near daily basis.
They want that romance back.
And he was very cozy with them. And then I guess things fell apart. But it's been 8 years, and they went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring and say, I'm sorry.
It's just so blatant that you would, with the passage of 1 month, go from being like, this guy's Hitler, to sitting down and having dinner with Hitler.
To be clear, we still consider Donald Trump to be a fascist. They were right about that.
Yeah.
That point is further proven by the fact that members of the media who were critical to him are now desperately going out of their way to mend those fences so they don't feel his inevitable wrath.
Yeah, it's kind of proven the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reeks of fear. If we're nice to him, maybe he won't destroy us. And luckily, everyone appears to see right through it.
Yeah.
Here's the AP with more on the trip down to Mar-a-Lago, as well as some of the immediate reactions. MSNBC hosts Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, fierce critics of President-elect Donald Trump, say they traveled to Mar-a-Lago for a meeting with him to reopen lines of communication that would better serve their morning show viewers.
The show's anchor team had been so critical of Trump that in September, Scarborough said that it's not a reach to compare him to Hitler. MSNBC pulled Morning Joe from the air the Monday after the assassination attempt on Trump this past summer. On Monday's show, the host said they had reached out to Trump last Thursday and met with him the next day. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years, Brzezinski said. She said Trump was cheerful, upbeat, even as the three of them discussed issues they disagreed on. For those asking why we would speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? Brzezinski said. Trump confirmed the meeting in an interview with Fox News Digital. I very much appreciated the fact that they wanted to have open communication, he said. In many ways, it's too bad that it wasn't done long ago.
On The View Monday, co-host Sunny Hostin said the country needs a free press willing to speak truth to power, and she didn't think it was necessary to travel to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. Several conservative commentators weren't impressed either. Talk show host Buck Sexton, in a post on X, called the meeting astounding. Trump's victory is so complete, Morning Joe has fully surrendered, Sexton wrote. Veteran cable news personality Greta Van Susteren called it groveling. Yeah. And unfortunately, you got to hand it to them. They're all correct.
Yeah.
All of these people are correct. This is embarrassing. It is pathetic.
Yeah.
And while I guess this blatant self-preservation is smart for them, it also clearly shows that people were right to assume this would be a fascist administration because they are quite literally worried about retribution.
Yeah.
From a CNN report after that meeting.
According to two sources with direct knowledge of the matter, Scarborough and Brzezinski were credibly concerned that they could face governmental and legal harassment from the incoming Trump administration. Knowing that Trump has threatened retribution against his perceived political opponents and that Trump has promoted lies about Scarborough and Brzezinski in the past, the MSNBC host decided to reach out to the president-elect, the sources told CNN. The two sources generally agreed with Scarborough and Brzezinski's impression of the situation at hand, namely that the incoming Trump administration could use its wide-ranging powers to punish people deemed enemies. And they aren't wrong that the Trump administration would go after those enemies. It just seems cowardly for two popular MSNBC anchors to bend the knee so rapidly. These are people who are in arguably the biggest at least cable news network for liberals or Democrats or whatever,
Yeah.
immediately showing that they are terrified of this administration and willing to sacrifice their integrity to be in his good graces. It really doesn't bode well for the media landscape as a whole. It's kind of gives the game away to everyone.
Yes.
Not that everyone acts this way, but it public persona goes a long way, and this is a very blatant kneeling before him.
It's gross.
Yeah. Anyways, they add that the article adds that last week, Trump ally and former White House advisor Steve Bannon warned MSNBC staffers to preserve your documents, while predicting Gaetz's Justice Department would pursue cases against them.
On what charge?
Bannon name-checked MSNBC analyst Andrew Weissman and anchor Ari Melber, cautioning, "You young producers better lawyer up."
Lawyer up for what? Like, I understand the general, like, fear around this, but, like, new laws would have to be crafted to justify this stuff. And maybe they will be, but
Or they could find them offending or breaking old laws that they manipulate to work in their favor. Like, this is all uncharted territory, so who knows? It's just very telling that two national broadcast hosts thought it was in their best interest.
Yeah, but I also think they're kind of dumb.
Yeah, of course, of course.
And very, I mean, they're giving away how cowardly and stupid they are here.
Yeah.
It's good that so far this is not a trend among the media.
Yeah, no, and
that's good.
And they're getting rightfully fucking mocked for it, even by members of their own cable news brand who have gone on the record and been like, "This is a bad idea." So yeah, I mean, there is a real looming threat, but that's because people are correct in saying that Trump would be an authoritarian president. They're proving the claims that they made.
Yeah.
So,
and people are saying Hitler. Mussolini's a better comparison.
Sure.
But Americans don't know shit about fucking fascist Italy, so
yeah,
not very useful, I guess.
The stark comparison is that they called him could be Hitler and then went and immediately met with him. Wait, it's just like the meeting that with, like, okay, look, I understand historically.
They should have said allegedly could be Hitler.
Yeah.
Then they would have been rock solid.
It's just like the meeting with Biden and Trump. Like, I get that that's something that happened.
He didn't have to smile so much.
But yeah,
he didn't have to look like he was having a great time.
If you and your party, and it, again, in our opinion, correctly called this guy out for being a fucking fascist authoritarian, why are you having a joyful appearing meeting with him?
It's gross.
Yeah,
it just that.
It's strange. It's odd. Stick with what you were saying.
Anyway, let's get into some not so serious stuff to close out the episode, starting with the fact that we will be sacrificing a mascot again this year in order to please the gods and ensure a healthy crop next year.
Yeah, the sacrifice will continue.
Remember last year? It seems so long ago, but almost an entire year ago, a human-sized anthropomorphic Pop-Tart was slowly lowered into a toaster where they were burned alive in front of thousands in attendance and millions watching online, only to then be consumed by football players on the field.
Mm-hmm.
It was a gigantic spectacle. It made headlines around the world. It elevated the Pop-Tart pastry to a Christ-like figure who sacrificed themselves for the benefit of others.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it again. But this time, the lives of these mascots are in the players' hands.
That's right. There's going to be the teams playing in this bowl. They're going to have something more than just pride.
Yeah.
The best player gets to choose which mascot to kill, which is, I think, adds a whole new level to the game. I'm excited.
The next Tarts Bowl, which, to clarify for non-sports and non-American viewers, is a college football game, will feature not one, not two, but 3 edible mascots that could be sacrificed live on TV. And the MVP of the game will be tasked with choosing their fate. Here's the New York Times.
After Frosted Strawberry lived its dream of being consumed after last year's inaugural
That's important
game.
to note. He said, I've always dreamed of this.
Yeah, that is...
He wanted it.
Apparently, in Pop-Tart's lore, the Pop-Tart longs for consumption.
Yeah, they long for breakfast Valhalla.
Yes. After Frosted Strawberry lived its dream of being consumed after last year's inaugural game, the bowl game is introducing 3 new mascots this year. Frosted Hot Fudge Sundae, Frosted Wildberry, and a 3rd mystery flavor.
This is bullshit. The only good Pop-Tart is the cinnamon brown sugar one.
Where's
that representation?
That is good, but also, like, the strawberry is the classic. So when you see
it is the classic.
a Pop-Tart, you imagine that it is not only filled with strawberry filling, but that also makes it seem more human-like, because when it is broken into,
blood.
it's like blood. Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. So the game's MVP will decide which flavor gets the honor of being consumed by the winning team. Quote, "The first Pop-Tarts Bowl became one of the year's biggest memes, and since then, our edible mascot has popped up on red carpets, TV commercials, sold-out Halloween costumes, and it continues to get brought up during big cultural moments."
Does it?
I don't think it does. I didn't see one Pop-Tart this year during Halloween, and I was
feel
handing
like-
out candy for a significant amount of time.
People were like leading up to the election, like, I wonder who Frosted Strawberry's voting for.
That's the one thing that could have tilted the election. If Frosted Strawberry didn't fucking go into hiding.
Has Frosted Strawberry tweeted about the Trump assassination attempt yet? Because it's pretty suspicious if he hasn't.
You know, on second thought, Frosted Strawberry wouldn't be able to do any of this because it was eaten on the field.
That's true. He's dead.
And I guess
He's in the toilet now.
in keeping with the lore, that's why there are 3 other mascots that aren't Frosted Strawberry.
Yeah, Frosted Strawberry. They should have taken Frosted Strawberry off the shelves in memoriam.
They're going to have to keep coming up with new flavors so they have a new Pop-Tart to execute.
My kids watch Frosted Strawberry die up there on that field, and then we go to the store and they see Frosted Strawberry on the shelves. Well, how am I supposed to talk to my kids about this?
Elliot, that's just like, I mean, it plays into the Christ-like figure. You see Jesus in every church.
They could have at least waited 3 days.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, no, they're going to have to come up with new flavors every year to continue the executions.
Uh-huh. The executions will continue until the flavor improves.
Yeah, I wonder who's going to die this year. But hey, what a great marketing gimmick. But the person saying all of that about how this was a massive cultural moment, which it was at the time, but I don't think it extended into the rest of the year. That was Director of Marketing Heidi Ray, and she continued, "And fans are hungry for more. The mascot's antics during the game were a viral hit, and after the game, a giant toaster made its way onto the field. Amid pyrotechnics, the Frosted Strawberry Pop-Tart was lowered into it, just after it held up a sign that said, 'Dreams really do come true,' complete with a heart. He emerged from the bottom and was consumed by the K-State players and coaches. The trophy featured a football with 2 slots to hold 2 regular-sized Pop-Tarts." Yeah.
Well, we're doing it again. I'm very excited to see how they spin this one.
Yeah, you know, when things are feeling dark, you can still always rest assured that America is going to America.
I mean, this is how like a lot of ancient cultures got through the bad times.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a ritual
sacrifice.
Yeah, this might be good.
Yeah. You know, the crops, we're in a drought.
Yeah.
There's just so many bad things. Disease, pestilence. What do? We need to give the gods an offering.
What better way, if you believe in capitalism as if it's a religion, what better way to please the gods than to sacrifice a product of consumer culture?
Yeah.
An anthropomorphic Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
One of the greatest inventions of the 20th century.
It's breakfast you can eat with one hand.
Yeah, you can take it anywhere. You don't even have to heat it up.
You should, though.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously like being heated up. They didn't just consume
They dream
this thing
about
raw.
it. They dream about it. If you eat your Pop-Tart not heated up, that's like considered a bad death, and they go to limbo instead of Valhalla.
Yeah. What if the player this year was like, all right, I choose the chocolate one, but I don't heat mine up. Just walk over here and give me that body.
No, heat me up.
I mean, it has a lot of other religious, like specifically Christian undertones, the consuming of the body. So there you go. There's a lot to this. There's some evil things at play.
I'd go to church a lot more
if they serve Pop-Tarts.
if they serve Pop-Tarts instead of that nasty, stale fucking bread.
Pop-Tarts and Hawaiian Punch.
Yeah.
That's how you get people back in church.
Jesus tastes like high fructose corn syrup, and I think that's great.
How are you going to have a church this big with a pastor who flies on a jet and give out little wafers, little garbage-ass wafers?
Yeah. Tastes like fucking cardboard. Disgusting.
Anyways,
Finally, today, we are just going to let you all fight this one out in the comments because Jeff Keighley and his Game Awards have released their nominees for Best of the Year. And it's already turning into a highly controversial show because a DLC has been nominated for Game of the Year award.
oh, my precious norms when it comes to video games.
Of course, talking about Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree that's nominated for Game of the Year. Despite being universally beloved, many people are saying that the Game of the Year category should be for a fully complete game only.
Or
I
like,
guess,
like
you
the
know,
first version of the game.
Yeah, this is...
What they release should be considered the game. So best DLC, fine. To me, I don't really care because there hasn't been a point in time where I have cared less about the video game industry.
This is not a real award show, by the way.
Yeah, no, this is just something Jeff Keighley came up with.
Yeah, it is.
Not that any award show is real, but
like the Game Awards specifically is just an opportunity after all the summer shit to play trailers for a bunch of stuff that's about.
They lost their big trailer event, and so Jeff Keighley stepped in. Now I'm not saying that it was what happened, but it is notable that he is the biggest PlayStation fanboy. In fact, he was the one doing all of the big apology tour for the very highly priced PlayStation Pro. And a day after this DLC gets nominated, news breaks that Sony might be interested in acquiring From Software. Conspiracy? Is this an episode of Tugs where we're making baseless accusations with nothing to back it up? Maybe, but that regardless, these are the games that are nominated.
Anyway, the other nominees in the Game of the Year category are Astrobot,
which apparently is a fantastic game. It's a PlayStation exclusive platformer dealing with all of their. It's like an all-star collection of their characters.
You got Black Myth Wukong.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the monkey game?
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth,
which should be also kind of be a controversial.
It's a remake.
Yeah.
Metaphor Refantazio. Are these real? What the fuck? I know what Balatro is.
Yeah,
I haven't played it. People are mad about that one because they're like, this is a fucking mobile game.
No, it's not a mobile game.
That's what people are saying.
It came out on PC and console first.
They're saying this is like some itch.io bullshit. It's not a real game.
It's absolutely a real game.
I'm not saying that.
In fact, it's the most real game that a game could be. It is a game in its simplest form. In fact, that's why it's so addictive, is because it's so simple. So yes, obviously, my vote is for Balatro, which I wish I had my phone on me, but I guarantee you if I looked, just on PlayStation alone, I have for sure 400 hours this year on this game.
Ooh.
I've completed almost I think I have 2 decks left to go with all of the antes. I still play it daily. Now that it's on my phone, it's real bad. Although it was a lovely flight coming back from Florida when I visited most recently. Just Balatroed the whole time. It's great. It should win. I haven't played a lot of those other games, but I feel like Balatro is the clear winner. It's nominated in numerous other categories, and it was developed by one guy.
Yeah. Well, that's your winner.
Balatro, in the people's hearts, that's the winner.
I've played none of these games. I only recognize the titles of 2 of them, so not the guy to go talking to about any of this.
Yeah.
I played, I believe, one new game in all of 2024.
I will say, I have beaten Dragon Age now.
Wow.
I've beaten Dragon Age, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time.
Okay.
I think that some of the writing is not great.
Yeah.
I'm happy people are getting work.
Is it too woke?
No, not too woke. Well, if you consider what people think is woke.
This is why Trump won.
But no, I thought it was a lot of fun. Very fun game to tumble around and blast opponents with. You got big monsters to fight, and there's some cool spells to fight them with. So I think it's great. It's hard to purchase a full price AAA game these days with how much good cheap shit is out there, like Balatro, but I found it to be worth my time. So there you go. No nominations though. Yeah. So vote for Balatro. Is there voting?
I don't even know how they choose this. I think it's just whatever Jeff Keighley thinks is the best.
I saw the award, the nominees for best content creators and best esports. I have no fucking clue who anyone is. I am so old, happily old.
Yeah.
I like my games on the couch.
I don't feel like I'm missing out. I'm not feeling even a speck of FOMO about any of this.
Yeah. Well, fight it out in the comments below. Who do you think should win Game of the Year? And if they weren't nominated, nominate them. Leave all those below, but make sure you like the video. Click the like button. Show everyone how much you love the channel. Leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And if you haven't seen them already, we got videos coming up for you right over here, including some jerks who thought they could dress up as a bear and commit crimes.
And frame an innocent bear.
Those innocent bears who should be hibernating very soon and therefore cannot commit crimes.
They don't need this smoke.
Well, the dead giveaway was they committed the crime when a bear would be hibernating.
It's getting cold.
Anyways, check those videos out, and we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.